What's going on, Agents Rock? Today we have a great podcast. We're going to be talking about farming. No, it's not milking cows and raising chickens. It's one of the most important component of a real estate agent's business, especially in today's market. What's going on in today's market? There is a lack of inventory. So a lot of time should be spent on creating listing opportunities, because the agents that have shifted their business, the agents that have focused on getting more listings rather than working with more buyers, those are the agents that right now are winning. Those are the agents that are seeing a tremendous amount of success. Think about it. It's frustrating for a buyer's agent right now if you're showing houses to several buyers. I think that there was an article that came out. I believe you would have to write up 6 offers in order to get 1 offer accepted for your buyer, right? So just imagine how frustrating that can be for a buyer's agent. It is a lot easier to manage a listing. It's a lot easier to sell a listing. On average, listings are going under contract in this market in less than 2 weeks. In fact, in some areas, in less than a couple hours, really, right? The market is still on fire. It's still a seller's market. Absorption rates are very low. That means that there's not much inventory in the market. So it makes a lot of common sense to go after listings and focusing. So let's talk about farming. Why you should be farming, which we just mentioned, but also in addition, how to successfully farm a area. And what areas should you farm? I'm a big believer that you should be farming the areas that you live in. So if you live in a specific town, you should be farming that area. You should be in front of every homeowner in that specific town. Now, you shouldn't rather focus on an entire town, right? Some towns are extremely large and it's very difficult and it can cost a lot of money for you to focus on the town in its entirety. But what I believe in is focusing on 2 or 3 specific pockets in that town. Right? Go to the municipal building, buy a map of the town, and then see what areas or districts you want to focus on, or zoning areas that you want to focus on, and then buy, district maps, right? And really focus on being top of mind with every homeowner in those 2 or 3 specific areas. Now, I believe in the 9-touch rule. What does that mean? It means that you need to touch a homeowner at minimum 9 times. Now, how are you going to do that? Well, there's a plethora of ways. Number 1, you can send out mailers. Number 2, you can cold call. Number 3, you can circle prospect, which is a form of cold calling, right? The way you would circle prospect is whenever a property goes on the market, whenever a property goes under contract, whenever a property sells, it is your responsibility to deliver that data to the homeowners in that area, right? So call all the homeowners around that listing in the specific areas that you're focusing on and let them know what's going on with that listing. Let them know what's going on with the market. What else can you do? You can door knock, right? That's a thing that still works, right? I know that a lot of agents think that it's a thing of the past, but if you're going to specialize in a particular area, if you're going to farm that particular area, you need to put a face behind a name. It isn't just about cold calling and sending out mailers and circle prospecting, but you need to build rapport face to face. And some of us as agents are really good, building rapport when you are face to face with an individual, right? So do not underestimate door knocking, because it is extremely important. Another thing that I believe is underestimated and is very important and crucial when you are farming a specific area is doing events. Sponsor events in your community. A lot of our agents at Signature Realty, what they're doing is they're doing like an ice cream day where they're sponsoring an ice cream truck for 2 hours. And the ice cream truck is parked and stationed in this specific area or specific spot. And, kids and, parents are coming out and they're walking up to the ice cream truck. And it's an opportunity for them to say thank you to you. And it's an opportunity for you to spark a conversation. And by the way, you never know if that conversation is going to lead to, hey, you know what? I've actually been thinking about selling my home. Or, you know what? I have a family member or friend that's looking to purchase in this area. They want to live close to us. We're really, really good friends. And that is a thing that actually happens, a lot. But you have to create those opportunities, right? So it is important. So let's talk about cold calling, how to cold call in the most efficient way. What is it that you need to do? Well, the first thing you need to do is get a database. You need to know the names of the homeowners in the area, and you have to have, obviously, their addresses in conjunction with their telephone numbers. So how do you do that? Well, go to your MLS and do a tax search of all the streets in the areas or pockets that you're looking to focus on, right? And when you search for it, you're going to get the results, and then you can download it into a CSV file, right? An Excel spreadsheet. You're going to then take that Excel spreadsheet. You're going to minimize the information, right? Because a lot of things are downloaded into that spreadsheet, such as lot and block number, which you're not going to need, and the size of the acreage or the size of the lot. Just if you want that information, that's great, but create another Excel spreadsheet with just their first name, last name, street address, obviously city, state, and zip code. And then you're going to take that information and you're going to skip trace so you can get their telephone numbers. Now, there are several programs out there that you can use for skip tracing. Let me give you a couple of them. PropStream is one of them. REI Skip is another one. That's the one that I use the most. I just find it to be extremely easy. Now, none of those skip tracing companies or softwares are anywhere close to 100% accurate, right? They're typically somewhere between 70 and 75%. That means that out of 100 people that you skip trace, you're going to get roughly about 70 to 75 accurate telephone numbers. And in most cases, when you also skip trace, you're also going to get their email, which is a huge plus, right? Because you can obviously create drip campaigns to homeowners in your particular town. Now, once you have that database, right, which is very important for you to farm, without it, it's not going to work. Now you can start cold calling that list, right? And I truly believe one of the major reasons why you should focus in the area that you live in is because you have relatability. You have common ground, commonality. And that matters when it comes to cold calling someone that has no idea who you are. Let me explain. If I call somebody in the same town that I live in, and I say, hey, John, this is Mike Gomes. I'm a real estate agent. I actually live down the street from you. That conversation tends to go a different route, a different way. They have their guard up the moment they pick up their phone when they know it's a cold call, right? And once you tell them that there's relatability, meaning that you and I have something in common, we live in the same town. In fact, we live a block away or 2 blocks away. This guard starts to come down a little bit, right? Because now they start to feel a sense of comfort, almost a sense of trust. Oh, they live in the same area as I do, right? So, and as you continue that conversation, and I say, John, the area here, obviously in, Cranford, New Jersey is very dear to my heart, the same way it is for you. That conversation now is going to start opening up, and opportunities will be created from that. And they are going to be a lot more receptive to listening to you because you live in the area. Maybe your kids go to school together, right? And I love to deliver value. I think that if you're going to farm an area, you must, come with the intent, good intent, obviously, of delivering value, of giving. And you have to give often before you feel that you are entitled, obviously, to now ask for something, right? It's about making micro deposits in that business account. That's extremely important. Micro deposits in that business account. It's something that John Cheplack, who's a well-renowned real estate coach, says all the time, and one of my mentors, and I truly believe in it, right? Why are they going to give you business when you haven't showed them your value? What is your value proposition? What is your offer? And that's why I always like to start my conversations when I'm cold calling in an area that I live in, I would always say, hey, John, it's Mike Gomes. I'm a real estate agent here with Signature Realty. Look, I live down the street. I always drive by your house. And, the community is very dear to my heart the same way I'm sure it is dear to your heart. My kids go to school here in Cranford, as I'm sure your kids, I don't know if you have kids or not, but I'm sure if you do have kids, obviously your kids go to school here or have gone to school here. And look, the reason for my phone call is I'd like to get to know you better. I'd love to deliver you with value. And John, honestly, I just want to ask you, if I delivered value to you from time to time, would you then, only then, consider recommending me to people in the area that are looking to buy or sell? What do you think is going to happen when you tell them, look, I just want to deliver value. I want to show you my worth first. Do you think that they're going to want to do business with you? Do you think that they're going to want to recommend buyers, sellers? Right? Do you think that they're going to be a huge referral source for you? Of course they are, right? It's rhetorical. They're going to want to work with you because you are coming from an angle of good intent. You're not trying to manipulate. You're trying to deliver real value in the marketplace, right? So that's why it's important to cold call. That's why I think that your chances of farming an area successfully are in the areas that you live in or that you grew up in, that is very dear to your heart, that you can speak passionate about, that you have a genuine interest, right? Like, for example, I was born and raised in Newark, New Jersey. I don't live there. My parents still live there. So I still have commonality. If I were an agent, I would feel entitled that I can actually cold call people in Newark because I still have an attachment to Newark from an emotional standpoint. And anybody who picks up that phone, they're going to see that I am still emotionally invested in that area. So it doesn't have to be just the area that you live in, but it could be also the area that you grew up in, that you know very well, that you're still genuinely interested in. The area that you have a lot of roots, right? That's also important. So when you are choosing which areas, right, it shouldn't just be the area that you live in, but it should be the area that obviously is very dear to your heart, where you grew up in, right? So keep that in mind. Let's move on from cold calling to circle prospecting. It is important for you to master this in terms of consistency, right? There are always homes that obviously sell in an area. The reason why I advise you cold calling, or rather circle prospecting, around just listed, under contract, and obviously sold, it gives you more opportunity to obviously get on a phone call with the same people over and over, especially in a market where there's not a lot of inventory, right? So if on average only 5 houses a month sell in the area that you're trying to farm, you're not going to have a lot of opportunities to circle prospect. Now, if you're circle prospecting every time that same exact property changes phases, that's going to give you an opportunity to call that same person 3 times, right? And what does that do? Remember the 9-touch rule? The more times you speak to someone or a homeowner or a prospect, right, the more likely they're going to want to use you because you will be top of mind. And I have to be very frank with you. There are a lot less agents circle prospecting than there are agents actually doing it, right? So out of 100 agents, I don't know the number, but if I were to survey based on my experience, maybe 3 out of 100, that's 3%, are actually out there circle prospecting. And circle prospecting in the most efficient way, which is, calling every time a property changes phases. That's important. Another thing you could do in order to circle prospect as well is every time there is an open house, and specifically if you're doing the open house, is also circle prospecting to the homeowners on that street or around that open house and letting them know that you're going to host an open house in the next couple of days, and you would like to invite them over, if they know of anybody that's looking to move into the area. It's a great opportunity for them to call their friends or that person and let them know about the open house, right? Again, you're building rapport. That's the important thing. Now, moving on from circle prospecting, also door knocking. A lot of agents think that it's a thing of the past, but I truly believe that a lot of the traditional, right, back to basic things that we used to do as agents 10, 15, 20 years ago, I still think it highly works today, right? Not everybody wants to be transactional. Not everybody wants to have a conversation over the phone or via email or via text. There are a lot of people that would feel a lot more comfortable if they saw who you were, right? So door knocking is extremely important. When should you door knock? Well, make homeowners feel comfortable opening up the door. Door knock when you're walking your children down the street. Door knock when you're, walking your cat. I'm sorry, your dog. If you want to walk your cat, you're more than welcome to do so. My wife used to do that. But if you're walking your dog, imagine you knocking on a stranger's door, or vice versa. Imagine a stranger knocking on your door, and you look outside and you see them in a suit and a tie or dressed up. I don't know if you're going to be incentivized to open up the door, or I don't know if you're going to feel comfortable opening up the door for that person, right? Now, if I saw somebody with their 3-year-old or 5-year-old child, I'm probably going to open up the door. If I saw someone walking their dog or their animal, their pet, I'm more than likely going to open up the door, right? You need to make the environment comfortable for that homeowner to open the door, especially with everything that's been going on the last couple of years. It is important for you to build that trust right from the start, right? Make them feel comfortable. It's like, I equate it to what happened the other day. I'm walking down the street by my office in Summit, and this lady left the passenger side door open, or rather, it wasn't shut properly. And she got in the car, she turned her car on, and I knew that if I just popped my face at her window, she was not going to feel comfortable. So what did I do? I was very reluctant. I knocked on her window, her passenger side window, not her front, not her driver's side window. I knocked on her passenger side at a distance, right? And I just kind of put my hands up to let her know that, I'm friendly. And she rolled down the window immediately. She made the decision within a second. Oh, okay, wait, this seems like a friendly individual. She opens up the window, and then I told her, hey, by the way, your door is not shut properly. Do you want me to open it and close it? And she said without hesitation, because now I created that environment, she said yes, and I did, right? It's the same thing, same concept. Make them feel that they are in a friendly, comfortable environment to be able to open a door for you, right? That's extremely important. Now, going back to, events, what are some of the things that you can do, right? I mentioned before sponsoring an ice cream truck, right? Another thing you could do is a block party. Who doesn't like a block party, right? Obviously, you have to check with your municipality and make sure that, proper permits are pulled. But, having some bouncy houses, a dunk tank, right? For the kids in the neighborhood and the parents to come out and have a good time. Maybe some music. It really doesn't cost a lot of money. And there's a way to subsidize that cost, right? Most agents obviously have mortgage vendors that they work with, title vendors that they work with, home inspector vendors that they work with. Well, make them part of the event with you, right? And let them contribute to the investment as well. And that is how you subsidize, a $1,500 or $2,500 event where it may just only cost you $500 out of your pocket. Just imagine the average lead today, right, costs anywhere between $500 to about $1,500. What do I mean by that? If you were to pay for a Zillow lead, if you got on Zillow or Realtor.com, what is the average cost of a lead? It's on average between $500, right, to $1,500, depending on the area, right, depending on the average price point. So would you not pay $500 to $1,000 to maybe be in front of 40 to 50 homeowners in your neighborhood and be able to actually spark a conversation, of meaningful 5 to 10 minute conversation with every one of them, right? Do you think that you would be top of mind if you did an event like that? Do you think that the moment that they decided that they were going to sell, that they wouldn't think about you? And now you have an opportunity to obviously come over and let them know what their house is worth? Of course, right? That will increase your conversion rate in that area. One of the saddest and most disappointing feelings for a real estate agent is waking up in the morning, walking out of their house and seeing a for sale sign at your neighbor's yard. And you have to think to yourself, what is it that I could have done better, right, for me to have that opportunity, at least the opportunity to sit across the table from them and be able to present, right? What could you have done? Well, what are the things that you're not doing right now? What are the things that you're not committed to? And you really have to analyze your business. And one of the things that we always harp, at the brokerage is Are you working on your business or are you working in it? What do your days look like? What is your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.? What does that look like? Is it full of administrative tasks, right? Like transaction coordinating or transaction management? Or is it filled with income, revenue generating, prospecting ideas or activities? I really want you to audit your business and I want you to take a look at it. Because if it's not filled with income generating activities, then you're not working on your business. It is important for you to not only identify these opportunities, but more important than that is creating the opportunities. And you're not going to create if you're not being proactive. If you're being reactive and all you're doing is filling up your calendar with showings and follow-up, then at some point when your pipeline runs out, you're not going to obviously add more to it, right? The idea is to consistently work on your pipeline, consistently prospect. And obviously that is going to consist of discipline, commitment, consistency, and frequency, right? And there's a big difference between consistency and frequency, right? Consistency is how often you do something. How often are you cold calling? Are you cold calling once a week? Are you cold calling twice or 3 times a week? What does that look like? And frequency is how long are you going to do it for before you say, this is not working out for me. And the reality of it as real estate agents, you can choose any 2 or 3 things. And if you do it consistent enough, it doesn't matter how good or bad you are at it. Yes, you can be bad at something and still see results. Let me explain, right? I always use this to put things into perspective for a lot of real estate agents. My mother, not great at basketball at all. In fact, that if she were to stand in front of a basketball hoop and shoot, let's say 10 free throws, I guarantee you she's not going to make not one. Not one. Now, if my mom shot 100, by luck, she would probably hit 2, 3, maybe 4, right? Now, what happens if my mom every day started to shoot 100 free throws? What would the results look like? Would it go from 3 to 10? Yeah. Because she's building a cadence. She's building rhythm. And as she's building that cadence and that rhythm, and as she's practicing, she's getting better at it. What do you think if you cold called every day, 50 to 100 phone calls, Monday to Friday? What do you think the results will look like 90 days out? I promise you, if you tried it for 90 days and you did it consistently, right, you're going to realize some of the things you're doing bad and you're going to tweak it. But more importantly, you're going to start seeing results, right? And those results will ultimately drive you to do it more, right? Motivation doesn't lead to results. Results lead to motivation. When you get that big check in your hand, that result that's in your hand is going to lead you to be more motivated to keep on doing whatever it was that actually led you to that income generating opportunity. That's what this is about, right? So do not underestimate farming. It seems like a lot of agents have shied away from it. And the reality of it, if you really want to work on market share, if you really want to work on getting more listings, you need to put in the work. You need to cold call. You need to door knock. You need to circle prospect. You need to send out the mailers. You need to work on the business. You need to be always working to be top of mind in order for you to, at some point, feel the right to ask for something in return, right? All right, guys, I hope this video gave you a lot of value. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Agents Rock Podcast.